A lot of people think that moving to Florida is a retirement move. And this is the play. Like you work 30 or 40 years and then you finally retire. And then you finally move to Florida. And that's the old script. But I think more people are starting to ask a better question. And that question is, why wait? If you're in your 50s or you're getting close to that season and you already know you want a different pace of life, why wait until full retirement to start living that way? Now, I'm not saying everyone should pack up and move here tomorrow. That would be terrible advice, especially if you haven't talked to your spouse about it. That's how you end up on a different kind of YouTube channel. But I am saying this, for some people, moving to Florida before retirement makes more sense than waiting, especially right here in Northeast Florida. Jacksonville, St. Johns County, St. Augustine, Ponte Vedra, Nocatee area, Mandarin, and all these surrounding areas. This part of Florida is not just about retirement, it's about lifestyle. And that distinction matters because a lot of people are moving here and they're not done working. They may be semi-retired, they may work remotely, they may be business owners, and they may travel for work. A lot of them still have teenagers at home and they may be helping out adult kids. They may just be tired of living in a place that no longer feels like it fits. And they're asking, do I really need to wait another 5, 7, another 10 years? Or could we start building the next season right now? That's the real question. And for a lot of people, Florida before retirement is not about quitting life, it's about improving daily life. We have better weather, there's more time outside, more walking, more golf, more pickleball these days, more beach days, more eating dinner outside on the lanai, more space, more community, more light, and yes, less shoveling snow, which for the record is not a spiritual gift that I possess. Now, here is one reason Northeast Florida works really, really well for this. It does not feel like one giant retirement zone. Some parts of Florida feel like you move directly into a brochure. And that might be perfect for some people. But a lot of buyers that I talk to, they don't want that. They want the Florida lifestyle and they still just want normal life. They want restaurants and coffee shops and parks and schools, churches, gyms, local businesses, neighborhoods with families, places where their kids and future grandkids might actually want to visit. That is a big deal because if you're moving before retirement, you are not only choosing a place for now, you're choosing a place for the next version of your family. Will your adult kids want to come visit? Will your future grandkids be excited to come down and see grandpa, grandma, opa, omi, Mimi, Gigi, mama, whatever your names are going to be? Is there going to be enough to do? Is the airport reasonable? Can people get here without it feeling like a major military operation? That matters. And Northeast Florida has a really good balance. You have Jacksonville for jobs and healthcare and airport access, sports, restaurants, city amenities. You have St. Johns County for master plan communities, schools, newer homes, and a more suburban feel. You have St. Augustine for history and charm, beaches, and a slower pace. You've got Ponte Vedra and Nocatee for coastal access and strong community lifestyles. You have Mandarin and parts of Jacksonville if you want mature trees and bigger lots and less of that new construction feel. So the question is not just, should I move to Florida? The better question is, what version of Florida fits this stage of life? Because Florida is not just one thing. Miami is not Jacksonville. Orlando is certainly not St. Augustine. The Panhandle is not Nocatee, and the Villages is definitely not Rivertown. That's not a knock on any area. It's just reality. Florida has different flavors. And if you pick the wrong version, you might not hate Florida. You might just hate the version of Florida that you picked. So before retirement, you need to think about lifestyle in a more practical way, not just vacation lifestyle, daily lifestyle. Where do you want to go for groceries? Where will you work out? How far is the airport? Where are you going to go to get healthcare? Do you want a gated community? Do you want amenities? Do you want a pool? Do you want just to have room for a pool, for maybe a future pool? Do you want low maintenance living? Do you want to be near the beach? Or do you want to be just close enough to the beach to visit without paying close to the beach? prices. That's the stuff that matters after the moving truck leaves. And here's another thing. Moving before retirement gives you time to settle in. That's way underrated. If you wait until the exact moment you retire, you're changing everything at once. Your job changes, your schedule changes, your social life changes, your identity changes, your location changes. That's a lot. Moving earlier can give you time to build routines before retirement. You can find your people, find your doctors, find your coffee spot, find your church, find your gym, find your walking routes, places to hike, find the restaurants where you're absolutely going to spend way too much money. No judgment. I'm just saying it happens. By the time you fully retire, you're not starting from scratch. You already have a life here, and that is a huge advantage. But of course, like everything, there's trade-offs. And we need to be honest about those too. Florida is not perfect. Don't tell anyone. Insurance can be a real issue. Property taxes definitely need to be understood. There's HOA and CDD fees that sometimes can surprise people. The heat is real. The humidity is more than real. The bugs didn't file for permission. They're just already here. And depending on where you live, traffic sometimes can be frustrating, but maybe not compared to New York City, especially in the growing parts of Northeast Florida. So I'm not here to sell you some fantasy perfect version of Florida. That doesn't help anyone. The goal is not to convince you that Florida is perfect. The goal is to help you figure out whether Northeast Florida fits the life you are trying to build. And for the right person, it can fit very well, especially if you're coming from a place where you feel worn down. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe it's the taxes. Maybe it's the politics. Maybe it's the pace of life. Maybe it's the cost of living. Maybe it's just that feeling that the place you live no longer matches who you're becoming. That's a real thing. And a lot of people just don't say it out loud. What they say is, we're thinking about Florida, but underneath, what they actually often mean is, we're just ready for a different life. That's what this video is about. Not just palm trees and beaches and lower taxes. It's about asking, what do we want the next 10, 15, 20 years to look like? Do we want to wait, or do we want to start right now? And I think that moving before retirement is worth at least considering, because you may still be working, you may still be raising kids, you may still be building that business or businesses, you may still be figuring things out. Heck, I've been figuring things out for a long, long time, but that doesn't mean that you have to stay stuck in the old season. Sometimes the next season starts before the last one fully ends. And that is the part that people miss. You do not have to be fully retired to want more space or sunshine or outdoor living or a slower pace. You may just be ready to build toward that right now. So if you're thinking about moving to Florida before retirement, let's start with these 3 questions. First, what do we want daily life to feel like? Not vacation, daily life. Second, what do we still need access to? Work, airport, schools, healthcare, family, community, all those things are important. And third, which part of Northeast Florida fits that best? Jacksonville, St. Johns County, St. Augustine, Ponte Vedra, which also like Nocatee type neighborhoods, Mandarin, or somewhere else nearby, maybe even up in Amelia Island. Don't start with the house, start with the life. Then find the house that supports that life. That is how you make the smarter move. So if you're in that stage where retirement is coming, but it's not quite here yet, and you're wondering whether Northeast Florida might be the right move, I'd be happy to help you think it through. Not hype, not pressure, just having real conversations about what this area is actually like and what the trade-offs are and which communities might actually fit your life. Because moving to Florida before retirement might not be for everyone, but for the right person, it could be the move that lets the next season start just a little bit sooner.